What's happening, y'all? This is Andrew from Mirror Music 99, back with another Grateful Dead reaction. Today is an audience request. Somebody asked me, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I guess, to do a reaction to a whole set, right? Like a set, like my understanding is that the Dead usually played shows in like two parts, right? They played one set and then played like drums and bass and then played another set at the end. If that's wrong, please tell me. But that's my understanding. So somebody suggested that I do a whole set because they do seem to be conceived of as like entire pieces of music. It's like listening to a whole concerto or something like that instead of just like a movement of it. So I'm going to do this in two parts. They suggested me to do the show from Oakland, 1976, October 9th. This first video of this series, I'll do one this week and one next week, is St. Stephen, Not Fade Away, back to St. Stephen. So St. Stephen, I've heard before. Not Fade Away, I'm obviously familiar with as a Buddy Holly / Rolling Stone song. But I've heard it. I've heard St. Stephen before, but I couldn't like call the melody to mind or whatever. So let's see what they got. I know 1976 is, if I'm right about this, I think this is like they're coming back off a hiatus, right? Like they had stopped after 74 and taken pieces of a couple years off and then came back in 77. That is my mental Grateful Dead timeline. Please correct me if I'm wrong about that too. But so a 1976 show is a special treat. So this is, again, St. Stephen, Not Fade Away, St. Stephen. And then the next piece of it next week will be Help on the Way, Slipknot, Drums, Samson and Delilah, Slipknot, and Back to Franklin's Tower. So looking forward to all that, and let's see what we got going on.
You know, Uncle Bill says we only got an hour for when we start playing, so we're not going to start playing for a little bit.
I assume that's Bill Graham they're talking about. Oh, yeah, I remember this riff. The syncopation in there is like great too. There's things like that stop it just from being a standard blues riff that are lovely.
The people all complain.
It's great playing right there. You hear the soundboard almost turning their mics up like the singing is. I've said this before, I love it when Jerry's playing in like the lower register for the guitar. turn the bass up now too. Nice. Ooh, changed it up. I love the harmony of Grateful Dead too. They've tightened that up a lot since the early years. Is that Donna in there too? Or is somebody just singing falsetto? The fun part of this is that it's still the same chord progression, just very quiet. It continually amazes me what they can do with such basic chord progression kinds of things. How many different directions they can take it, even within the same song. I've always thought of this song as more percussive, and because the guitar tends to go along with dun to dun to dun dun dun, right? But it's interesting that this version is much more guitar leady, right? And for a band with two drummers, it's interesting that their version's less percussive than many of the Stones or the Buddy Holly, or even their earlier versions of this. Slide in there again. So it's like slid up to it. Play it an octave up. It's also slower than the OG versions. The weirdest sensation in these recordings. Like, Jerry's guitar feels like, I mean, sometimes it bounces back and forth from channel to channel, but when he's playing like this, especially in that lower register, it feels almost like he's playing from like the center of your skull. It's a weird sensation, but pretty cool. Love the innovation of adding harmonies to this too. Is that 3 people doing harmony? Yeah, I hear Donna, I think. And Bobby is the one singing lead on this, right? But I think there's a 3rd person doing harmony in there too. Which means it's a good song to match with St. Stephen, right? Which is very harmony driven as well. Piano player is also playing like jazz chord versions of that riff. If you can tune into the piano in your earphones for a second. He's not playing the chord straight, he's playing like minor 7ths and shit in there. Now he stopped doing it, now that said something. Love that little lick. One of my favorite things that the Dead do is take songs like this, which were originally very straight-ahead pop songs. They were really short and punchy, and kind of explode them out into, I don't want to say whatever this is, but to the stratosphere, right? And see, the drums now pick it up, and it's kind of propelling it forward now, right? That's a little play on a descending blues riff too. Cool as hell. There it is again. You hear that on like country music too, like in the Nashville electric guitar. I don't usually key in on the piano on these songs, but I wonder if there's a version of this that has the piano higher up in the mix, because it's doing some really interesting stuff back there.
I wanna tell you how it's gonna be. You're gonna give your love to me. I wanna love you night and day. You know our love will not fade away. 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 You know our love will not fade away.
I love how they play this out too, because they're literally fading away as they're singing "Not Fade Away," right?
Not fade away. Not fade away. Not fade away. Not fade away.
You hear them picking up the other song again now.
Not fade away. Not fade away.
Like the piano is still playing the main riff of "Not Fade Away," but the drums and the guitar are not anymore. There it is again. That's so smooth how they got from one to the next. It's amazing that this is all improvised, right? They're all trying to decide what to do in the moment. So inspiring. I have to rehearse stuff a lot when I'm playing. Ooh. I'm gonna have to cut that off now because we don't want to get into starting to help on the way. That's a little teaser for next week, right? We'll get into that. One of the cool parts about this too is that I'm learning to recognize the opening riffs, the da da da. Like even I knew that was Help on the Way before I saw it on the screen too. So you guys have taught me a lot. Just as a closing commentary, right? Like I used to think of the Dead's music as kind of noodling and farting around, and it wasn't until I've listened to it a lot more closely over the last few months that I'm kind of dialing into what they're putting down. Like, they're using the same chord structure, and there are lots of cover bands or bands that do this jam bandish stuff badly that are just messing around. But there's so much movement and dynamic in the Grateful Dead's music. Like, they don't, despite using the same chord structure, they don't like belabor ideas. They play one and then do another one and another one and another one. So in the course of an 11-minute song, I mean, you've got 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 different movements to it. And that keeps it fresh and keeps people's attention, or keeps my attention anyway. And I was telling my friend earlier this week, she sent me Paramore did a band called Paramore. I assume you guys know who that is. It depends on who's watching the video, I guess. Did a cover of the Talking Heads' Burning Down the House, which is one of my favorite songs in the world, the original version. And the beginning of it's so good, man. Like, it just kind of punches you in the mouth at the beginning. But it just kind of finds that level and kind of flatlines across, and it doesn't really go anywhere by the end of the song. And one of my favorite parts about the original Burning Down the House is that it feels like it's kind of spinning out of control a little bit, which kind of mirrors the subject of the song, right? It builds and builds and builds, and it's kind of like a whirling dervish that just kind of feels like it's going to lose touch with gravity at any moment. And the cover didn't do that. And that note that I told her has come from listening to the Grateful Dead a lot in the last few months. Like, I have become much less patient with music without dynamics. Music that's not moving, that's not taking me somewhere, that is not like changing it up some. Because, the Dead's music, like, especially in here, I mean, it's a simple chord structure, a couple simple chord structures, but they're taking it in dozens of different directions in just this 20 minutes that we've been listening. So it's beautiful, beautiful stuff. Thanks for sharing it with me. I will get to next week the second part of this set, which is Help on the Way, Slipknot, get them an or Slipknot, then it has the drums and Samson and Delilah, Slipknot, then Franklin's Tower. So looking forward to that for next week, and until then, y'all, I'll see you later. Take care. Be well.